Everybody, welcome back to my modern homestead. My name is Janet. For those of you who are new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. Today we are doing another Irish recipe. This will probably be the last one. I'm not going to say for sure because we're tossing around ideas for another one tomorrow, just something simple. But I need to get these ingredients prepped. This is turning out to be the most prep intensive video yet. So today we're making, I was gonna write it down for you. Y'all don't laugh at me, I don't know how to say this. Colcannon. I don't know where the emphasis, the accent is on the syllable. Just forgive me, my little southern mouth wants to say Colcannon because that's how it's spelled, C-O-L-C-A-N-N-O-N. I don't know, y'all help me out, let me know below. The first thing I need to do is prep my vegetables. I have a leek, some scallions, and a small bunch of kale that needs to be rinsed and chopped. I'm going to remove the stems from these. But I wanted to bring you along for the leek because if you're like me, you are always intimidated by the leek. And I'm just going to show you what I do. I cut off all this tough leafy green part. And then I cut off this root end. And then we're going to have to rinse this cutting board off just a little. And then I just remove these tough, see how yucky? I remove these tough parts. Let's rinse it. Now what I like to do is cut it in half. Now because of the way this grows, can you see all these little layers? Sand and dirt or whatever it's growing in, you can kind of see here, gets down in between these layers. So I like to separate the layers. Y'all please excuse the sink. We cannot get it clean. I try to separate the layers and get the water down in between them. But then what I will do is just cut it into small pieces and I'll let it soak in some clean water for a few minutes and all of the yucky stuff should fall to the bottom. So let's just finish this up and we'll be right back. Alrighty, take it, drop it over into our water. Kind of stir it around. And this will be fine just to sit here until I get everything else ready. See, no need to be intimidated by the leeks. That's all there is to it. Alright, our recipe for the potato dish, the Colcannon, whatever, I'm so sorry. It calls for a small bunch of kale. Our store didn't have a small bunch, so I'm just going to use what looks right to me for 4 potatoes, or fried potatoes. This is 2.5 pounds. Maybe 1 more big leaf, and I'm going to call it good. We can save this for a salad. Okay, I'm going to treat the kale leaves just like I do my collards. I'm going to remove the biggest part of the stem. And then we're just going to chop the leaves. Oh, try to keep them on your cutting board and not the floor. Just cut them into small pieces, just like that. Excuse you. Try not to let your daughter steal all of your kale while you're cooking. Okay, for this part, we're going to make our own sausage. I've got some of the ingredients for the potato dish done, but I want to go ahead and start on the Scotch eggs. So we start with 1 pound of ground pork and just put it into a bowl because we need to add our spices to it. Okay, to this we're going to add 1 teaspoon of dried thyme, then we're going to do 1 teaspoon of parsley, I don't have dried marjoram, so I'm going to go with some oregano. That's the closest thing I have. So let's use a 1/2 teaspoon of dried oregano. Then we're going to use a 1/2 teaspoon of dried basil. Oh, that is my favorite herb, I think, besides, well, yeah, cayenne's not really an herb now, is it? So, let's see, rosemary. We need a 1/2 teaspoon of rosemary. That's homegrown rosemary. Then we need a 1/2 teaspoon of sage. Funny thing, I used to never go through a thing of sage, but just about have already this year. And we need 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. And 1/4 of a teaspoon of black pepper. Now all we have to do is mix this up. Before I start that, I'll go ahead and tell you, I've already boiled and peeled 4 eggs. I wasn't thinking, y'all, I was dragging this morning, not thinking. I accidentally boiled these a little longer than you normally want to. Just don't boil them quite as long to make this recipe. So let's get this mixed up. Yep, I'm going in with my hands. As I'm doing this, I like to squeeze and twist. It's a great workout for your hands. All right, I think we've got it pretty well incorporated. So at this point, what I want to do is to make it into a ball. Oops. Then we're going to divide it in half. And then each half again. We want to end up with 4 pieces. Need to take a little off of this one and a little off of this one. And then we're going to flatten each half or each quarter into a rectangular shape. Don't want it too thin, but you want it thin enough that it will wrap around an egg. Yep, that's what I said. We're going to wrap it around an egg. So take 1 egg and then just start wrapping. There you go. Make sure you don't have any open seams like that. Close them up real good. And ta-da! Try to keep that egg shape if you can. And then just repeat for all the other 3. Ha, fun! While I'm doing this, remember when I started this series, I said a lot of Irish dishes are shared by England or Great Britain. This is another one of those that's really popular in British pubs, but it's also been adapted to Irish pubs. And it's, from what I've read anyway, you'll find it equally in both. Two more to go. There we go. They are all done. Let's get these yucky hands washed up. Okay, now I have about a half a cup of flour, and I also have 2 eggs. I'm going to whisk up the eggs a little bit. We'll whisk it a little more when we're ready. Okay, I have some breadcrumbs. This is garlic and herb. So I'm not really going to add any spices except for some smoked paprika. For this, I need 1.5 cups. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of paprika. I'm not going to measure. Whoa. Yeah, okay, well, we're going to call it maybe a teaspoon. Let's mix this up. While I'm mixing, I just wanted to tell you, these are called Scotch eggs, but I don't know why. I didn't really find a reason for it. They're not a Scottish recipe. They're a British recipe that's been adopted by Ireland. At least that's what I found. So, what we're going to do is take each egg that's been wrapped in sausage, then we're going to dredge it in the flour, and then the egg, and then the breadcrumbs. And back behind me on the stove, I have the oil heating. We're going to heat it to 350 degrees. It's 3 inches of oil. So make sure you have a pot that's big enough to hold that oil. You don't want to fill your pot over halfway full, because that could be dangerous. Just whisking my egg up a little bit more. Now, let's take one of our eggs. We're going to just roll it in the egg. And y'all see that? I did that backwards. That's why I like to have my plates in order. Okay, so you do it in the flour first. Okay, then the egg. Get it good and coated. And then we roll it in the breadcrumbs. Or sprinkle the breadcrumbs on it. Just make sure it's coated well. And I'm going to leave mine there until my oil is ready. Let me do the rest of these. Okay, y'all. Now we're almost at 350 degrees. And to do this, we just want to lower the eggs into the oil, one or two at a time. And then we're going to let it cook for 6 to 8 minutes. Okay, y'all, it's not quite been 6 minutes, but these are getting really brown. So I'm going to take them up. Look how pretty. And we're going to put them on some paper towels to drain. Oh my goodness. I never dreamed that would come out of my kitchen. Okay, we're going to do the other two just the same way. And then we'll be back. Don't waste any time. We'll just keep going on the potatoes. These potatoes don't look the greatest, but they'll be okay. They're full of yucky spots. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get our potatoes on the stove, and we're going to season them with just a little bit of salt. It's always best if you can season with salt before you cook. Let me see if I can raise y'all up a little bit. There we go. Okay, so we're also going to heat this pot because we're going to start the rest of the ingredients that will go in the potatoes once those are done and we get them mashed. Okay, real quick, I'm just going to take these scallions and gently remove them from the top to shake out the excess water and just lay them here. Did I call these scallions? These leeks, if I did, sorry. But we're going to lay them here beside the scallions. And that's all there was to fixing those, y'all. So easy, and these are so good. I have more in the refrigerator. And I love potato soup with leeks in it. That's also a very Irish thing. So I won't do it for another meal, but just know, those potatoes, these leeks, just a little bit of bacon, not much. And scallions, leeks, potatoes, thyme, a little bit of dry thyme. Oh, it's so good. So there's that. We'll just wait until this pan's hot, and we're going to put 5 slices of bacon in it. Okay, here we go. I have my pack of bacon. This is a thick slice bacon, thick cut bacon. I guess you could do it if you had a big enough skillet. I didn't think about that. I was just paying attention to the recipe and what it said to do. Here we go. All 5 slices are in. Now we're just going to let them brown up and get crisp. I already have my paper plate. Not paper plate, excuse me, my plate with a paper towel in it. So it's ready to go when the bacon's done. Okay, let's take up our last piece of bacon. Doesn't that look great? Now what we're going to do is take this grease and drain it carefully into a bowl. I'm going to leave just a little. Okay, let's put in the scallions and leeks. Where'd y'all go? I'm using my new tripod. I'm trying to figure out how to work it. There we go. Y'all are wanting to jump off the counter. Yeah. We'll cook these for about 5 minutes. Give that just a minute or two more, and then we're going to put the kale in here and wilt it down. Okay, let's add in the kale. And we're just going to cook it long enough to let the kale wilt down. While this is wilting down, let me go ahead and tell you, you can use a different green. If you would prefer to use cabbage, that would be great. I actually looked for a Savoy cabbage, but you could use bok choy. I think if I did this again, I would actually, if I used kale, would cut this up even smaller. But any green you like, any cabbage, you could even use Swiss chard. So just whatever you like, or whatever strikes your fancy at the moment. Okay, these potatoes are perfect. They're nice and soft. So what I'm going to do is drain them and put them back in the pot, and we're going to start mashing them. Now to the Swiss chard, I'm going to add just about a tablespoon of water. I've already done that one time. I don't want to add a lot. We'll just keep letting them wilt down. Let's get these potatoes drained. Okay, let's add about 3 tablespoons of butter to the potatoes and start mashing them. I've got Alyssa back behind me. She's continuing to stir the kale. She said I called it Swiss chard earlier. I am so sorry. I guess I must have had Swiss chard on my brain and really wanted it. But that's not what we got. Do y'all like your potatoes smooth, or do you like a few lumps? I'm kind of on the lumpy side. I like a few little lumps. That way I know they're homemade. Okay, look, that's looking rather Irish in there. So we're just going to get this into the potatoes and keep mashing. Alrighty, so just keep mashing and mixing. This is just some heavy cream. I'm going to pour it in there to loosen these up a little bit, make it easier to mash. Okay, we're going to take the bacon and just crumble it up into this and give it a good stir with a little more cream. And then we're done, y'all. So just keep crumbling bacon into little pieces.
Somehow it got cut out, but I did add more cream to the potatoes, and you can see it makes them creamier and easier to stir.
Let's try a bite. Make sure we got the kale, potato. Let's see. That works. Oh my goodness, y'all. I didn't add any extra salt to this. That bacon added just that perfect little saltiness. That kale It's still got just a touch of a chew to it. And the creaminess of that potato, the potato. Just the hint of onion from the leeks and scallion. Y'all, I think I might have found a new side dish for my house. Now, you can take the rest of this butter, not the rest of that, 2 more tablespoons, and make a well in this. Melt that butter, put it on top, and serve it that way. You can serve this cold. The Scotch eggs are the same way. You can serve these warm or cold. You can make a dipping sauce. You can use mustard. I think when I had them, it was some kind of sauce made with a mustard and mayonnaise maybe a ground mustard. Either way, they were super tasty. So anyway, let's make this pretty. Look at there, look at there. Y'all, I'm going to be very honest and very frank with you. I always try to be honest, but I'm going to be dead serious this time. These potatoes are going to get me in trouble. I just want to take my spoon and this bowl of potatoes and go right in there to my sofa and have at it. I think I could eat this whole bowl right by myself, and I'm not kidding y'all. I have not cut into one of these eggs. I will try to tag that at the end of the at the end of the video. But y'all, of all the dishes I've made this week for our Ode to Ireland, this is the one I thought I would not like. And it just may be my favorite. Y'all, thank you so much for joining me today. You know I love it when you come and spend a few minutes with me, always. So, until we meet again, may you be blessed. Love you guys. Okay, remember earlier in the video, I said I boiled the eggs a little too long? Yeah, so just be careful if you make this. Don't boil the eggs quite so long. But otherwise, oh, y'all, I could not be happier. First time I've ever done this, I will take it.